I'd like to call to order the Manlius Town Board meeting for December 7th, 2022 at 6:30 p.m. As always, we are doing this on Zoom, broadcasting to our website, Facebook and YouTube at the same time. If you're interested in joining us remotely via Zoom, you can find the instructions to join at the top of each of our agendas. And I will ask Councilor Denton to lead this in pledge of allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so at the top of our meetings, we open the podium. It's an opportunity for folks to come and share a question, a comment, anything like that with us. So do we have anybody here in the room who's here for open podium? Okay, do we have anybody who's joining us via Zoom for open podium? If you are, please use the raise hand function. Okay. Seeing no one here for open podium, we'll move on. So first up on the agenda, we have, well, technically we have to wait 3 minutes for the public hearing.
I can talk to you.
What's that?
You want me to talk to you?
Sure.
Yes.
Me and Heather and I can split it up. Some of it out of the way.
Anybody like to explain what we're doing?
Sure.
So, as we spoke about at the last meeting, the state of New York has passed new rules and regulations in terms of the building and fire code. They would like all municipalities to adopt those rules and regulations by the end of this year. They're not significantly different than the existing building and fire code. There's some minor, there are some changes that have been made. I think Tom kind of went over that in the last meeting as it relates to operating permits. And it relates to follow-up visits after a building permit has been issued, virtual inspections. There were issues with climactic, making sure that I'll call it short, that when we do seeker, when you issue a building permit, you kind of got to do an analysis of the environmental impacts of the issuance of the building permit, making sure the items that you're checking off for the building permit meet certain environmental criteria that the state has set. Those are kind of the highlights of it. Tom, you wanted to add anything else?
No, that was a good review of the big ticket items on it.
So tonight, I think we're gonna hold a public hearing to see whether or not anybody has any questions about it. This is, I don't believe, we don't have to do a seeker on this, it's not a zoning issue. So I think we're in a position where, unless you have questions for me or Tom about the local line, and Elaine actually made some very, a lot of the things today, and provided me with some information. I have modified the local law to incorporate those suggestions. So unless people have questions for me or Tom, I think we're in a position to open up the public hearing in about 10 seconds.
Thank you again, Councilor Hutton, for your many suggested changes. Okay, so I would look for a, before we get going to, I just want to point out that Councilor Bollinger is traveling for business and is joining us remotely. I would look for a motion to waive the reading of the public hearing.
I'd like to make a motion to waive the public reading.
Reading of the public
The
hearing.
reading.
Okay,
A second.
okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, opposed? Okay, motion carries. I would look for a motion to open the public hearing.
I'll make a motion to open the public hearing for the local law Swansea to police chapter 59 of the new code. A second.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries. So I would ask if anyone's here to make a public comment on this local law to repeal and replace chapter 59 of the town code. If anybody is here remotely via Zoom that would like to make a public comment, please use the raise hand function. Give it a second on Zoom. I just want to note too, we do have a motion drafted if we're interested in that, but if we would prefer to wait till the next meeting and do that. Okay. Seeing no public comment.
I'd like to make a motion to close the public hearing.
A second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt local law 2022-12 curriculum and replace chapter 59 of the town code as outlined in the resolution prepared by the attorney for the town. BSB.
A second.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm gonna get home to the kids, but I'll watch the rest of it on the tablet.
Thank you.
Have a good night. Okay, so next up, we're gonna need to set the date for our January town board workshop. This is gonna be to it'll serve many purposes, but the main goal here is so that we can walk through with the public and any potential bidders for our engineering contract for next year. There's an opportunity for us to put it out there to elaborate a little bit on what's gonna be in that RFP. And kind of walk through it and really highlight what we're looking for, what are gonna be the main criteria we're looking at. And an opportunity for anyone who has questions about it to ask those questions. So I would look for a motion to schedule that workshop.
So we'll have like an RFP.
Yep, so Counselor Bollinger has a draft that she circulated. We've got some good feedback on that. We're gonna keep tuning that a little bit. And we'll try to get that out, at least available on the website a little bit before that workshop.
So it's almost like we're working on a document. Or.
So ideally, it's mostly finalized by then. So that we can do it as more review and an opportunity to talk about. Exactly, yeah, and then we'll be reaching out to some folks that we would expect to be bidding on this to let them know, and then as well as that. As we send out the RFP, we'll include a link to that work session so that the bidders do have an opportunity to understanding what exactly we're looking for with a little bit more context.
Like to make a motion to set a date for a town board work session on January 11th, 2023 at 5 p.m. to discuss the request for proposal for engineering services for the town of Manlius and other business matters as necessary.
A second.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you, everybody. Next up, setting the date for our organizational meeting for January 4th.
Mr. Supervisor, I'd like to make a motion to set the date for the 2023 organizational meeting for the town of Manlius on January 4th, 2023 at 6:30 p.m.
A second.
So just just a reminder, our organizational meeting, for anybody who doesn't know what an organizational meeting is, this is the meeting we do at the top of the year to accept all the yearly contracts, to accept salaries, really to just kind of set us up for another year of operation. And for anybody that's watching at home, the organizational meeting agenda and minutes are an invaluable tool. Generally speaking, if you've got a question about how the town of Manlius operates specifically as contract salaries, anything like that, it's in there. I probably will pull that up about once a week to answer my own questions. So I would look, so all those in favor? Opposed? Okay, schedule the organizational meeting. Did you want to talk about the annexation a little bit, or do you want me to?
No, I can,
Oh.
Unless you want to, but I weren't gonna tell me on that, so.
Defer to.
So before you tonight, you have two annexation petitions. We do have Mrs. Griner here in the audience, one of the applicants for the annexation. This is Linda came before us in 2021 and spoke to us about this. This is so that she can have access to some of the utilities for the village of Manoa. And I have coordinated with the village of Manoa, I've coordinated with our attorney. The paperwork is in order. Both applicants, Sharon Karen and Linda Griner, have filed with the school district and with the village of Manoa. And so there is a 20-day public notice requirement for this, but we are required to have this public hearing within a certain amount of time that the petition is filed. So it makes the most sense that we set the date tonight for both annexation. This is unique. We do not get a lot of annexation. I know that we have two, but this is literally the second time that we've had this, you know, since I've been here, so.
Growing the population of the village.
Yeah. So you have two public hearings to set before you, and then once this is completed, I'll publish it in the paper. I've got to send a notice to the school. I am going to send a notice to both of the parcels, because as required by law. The village of Manoa is going to send a notice to everyone within 500 feet of each of the parcels. That is their practice, even though it's not required by law. And one member of the Village Manoa Board will come here for the public hearing, and that will be a joint public hearing, and that is also outlined in the law.
So a lot of moving pieces.
That's interesting.
So please let it be a contact name, sir.
Because like you're going into the village, but the town has to sign off on it.
Well, because it is my understanding that they want access to the sewers, and in order to do that, the Village of Manoa needs to be able to tax them.
Right, so it's like really the village of Manoa, so they're still gonna be in the town.
They will still be town residents, but now, and I hope I get this right, they'll only pay part-town.
Out of town, right?
Part-town.
It's really updating this.
You can't change the boundaries of a municipality without both municipalities approving that, changing boundary.
Okay, so
Schedule that.
Sure. I'll make a motion to set the date for a joint public hearing on January 11th, 2023 at 6:35 p.m. with the village of Manoa to consider the application made by Linda Greer for the annexation of 4.572 acres of land located within the tax map number 055-01-06.
Sorry.
I'll second.
okay, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries.
All right, Elaine, two for two.
I'll make a motion to set the date for a joint public hearing on January 11th, 2023 at 6:35 p.m. with the village of Manoa to consider the application made by Sharon for the annexation of 3.7879 acres of land located within tax map number 054-02-26-1. No, John.
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries.
What's up? It's hard. I mean, if there was ever a hard number to say, it's gonna be.
So next up, we have the disability and senior citizen property tax exemption. So this is following along with the law that was passed by the legislature earlier this year to up the eligible income levels. And we've had some conversations with the county, the villages, the school districts. For the most part, everyone is fairly comfortable moving directly to the maximum amount allowed by the new state law. That number is 50,000 for a 50% exemption, and there is a sliding scale that moves up as you go up to, I think it's 58,400 is the, if your income is below that and you're eligible for the exemption, you'll get, I think at that level, a 5% exemption. So this is a big change from what the numbers were previously. But in looking with the best data we can, obviously we don't have income data on everybody. We really only have the income data on the folks that are currently eligible. But we don't foresee this to be too major of an impact. And then I think the plan is going to ask Assessor Duffy to join us at the public hearing to just give a little bit more explanation. I know every time we have something like this, it's always helpful to have him kind of refresh us on what an exemption is, how that works, mechanically. And so I would look for some motions to set some public hearings.
And a question, because we're setting it to the state law, is there something we can reference so it always updates with the state?
So we had that conversation. The issue with that is, let's say the state law goes up to $100,000 and we didn't want to go up to $100,000, we would then have to change that law. Yeah, and we had a conversation about probably just the value in when this changes having a public hearing, you know, it's just another
To let
opportunity.
people know. that-
Yeah, that way they don't find out when they come,
Yeah.
you know, to apply for the exemption, and they see on the, you know, the flyer that's on the assessment window what the new numbers are, so it's just, you know, and we don't foresee this to happen. Like, I think the last time this changed was 2006,
I think it was before that,
maybe 2014.
well, let me,
Yeah, so this is not something that happens very often.
And
Yeah.
especially since we're setting a precedent.
Yes, yeah,
so the
which
last,
has been the practice in the town.
so the last time the senior citizens was changed. Was. My town code says 2006. And for disabilities, it was 2006, and I think that's true, because they were only doing that. So, and top limit at that time was 26,000.
Oh, yeah, so it's been quite a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, this will impact a lot of people.
It will, and what it does is it kind of rearranges the responsibility for taxation. The top line number stays the same, it's now. And that's what the assessor will explain, much better than I could.
I want to make a motion, who hasn't?
Yeah, I'd like to make that motion to set a date for public hearing on December 21st, 2022, at 6:35 to consider a local law to amend chapter 134 of the town code to increase the income limits for people with disabilities and limited income exemption.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Supervisor, I'd also like to make a motion to set a date for the public hearing on December 21st, 2022 at 6:35 PM to consider a local law to amend chapter 134 of the town code to increase the income limits for the senior citizen tax exemption.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you very much, everybody. So, next up, we have the return of highway securities for Austin Meadows Phase 5.
Yes, on behalf of Rob, who is an attendee in the audience. So we have collected monies for 600 feet of Austin Meadows Drive South, and Rob went and inspected it. It says the developer has completed underground services in the binder course of asphalt. He is recommending that we release 50% of the securities back to the developer. And that is actually does appear in the abstract, but we do the motion for this, for the release of the security prior to approving the abstract.
Any questions on that? Okay. So I would look for a motion.
I'll make a motion to return 50% of the security held for 600 feet of Austin Meadow Drive, back phase 5, in the amount of 37,500.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carried. So next up, we have the response to the planning board for clarification of the RM zone. We have, do we have the written response from, or written, you know, from the planning board?
I don't have it.
It was not given to me, but
Okay,
I can tell you what it says.
Okay.
And I think that, Sarah probably, she watched the meeting, so she knows what, the issues are. But, the planning board is concerned that the changes that we made to the RM zone, may open the door for a type of development that we would not want, and that we never contemplated. And I could just use Seven Pines as an example. Right now, Seven Pines, is well remembered, has 4 different buildings. We changed the zoning to RM on 3 buildings. And I think in total, those 3 lots will probably together about 13, 14 acres. The planning board is concerned that if the owner of those properties decided that they wanted to take down those 3 office buildings, office now, potential residential and mixed use buildings, and wanted to build a strip mall or a small shopping center on that 15 or 16 acre parcel, that the code wouldn't, the code doesn't specifically say they can't do that. Because we've now allowed retail in the RM zone when it wasn't allowed before.
And we've had some conversations, I know, Dr. Sauer about this, there's some suggestions from the planning board that we're gonna be, that I think is worth considering. I think, Sarah, you had mentioned possibly doing a square footage maximum for retail.
Yeah, I think the idea of doing some kind of limitation on either square footage or special use permit or some way where there'd be more limitations on what kind of things that would, result in to frame what's possible within the RM zone, which is intended to be a transitional zone to a residential area and not to overly disturb the residential community that's adjacent to it.
So I think it's,
I have a couple of questions. One, those properties were the zone CA at first, and so that.
and the planning board's feedback is about the RM zone itself.
But the RM zone itself, like those 3 parcels, again, you only can do 50% of those parcels to build on. And then, so the restriction in RM keeps the building sizes smaller already, which is why retail would be allowed, but it would be in a smaller footprint. So that's why we updated RM to allow them, and then the retail sales is defined in our code saying that what that would allow, what that.
Yeah, and I think the main goal here is, obviously, we'll get the exact feedback from the planning board and we'll circulate that, but I think the goal here is to just add a few extra protections. So that, when you do have a collection of RM parcels that you might be interested in putting together, if we can, the goal here is to go a step further than we did and probably just add a few more protections. I know we talked about adding something about having something about a residential character to the
That's
building.
already in there.
Right.
It's the same language that was the zone. We did not change that much. We only updated a couple of things in it. It's exactly.
Well, what I think made the planning board a little uncomfortable is the introduction of retail in the RM zone. And what does that open the door to? I agree with you that our code already says it has to have a residential character, has to be a transition. It should be transitional in terms of a residential neighborhood. So I think while I understand the planning board's concern because it doesn't explicitly say that, I don't see the harm in addressing that specific concern about when we're talking about retail. This is the kind of retail we're talking about. Small shops, restaurants, those types of
I
things.
saw we didn't Elaine do a whole presentation with a whole list and we got rid of ones that.
Yeah, but retail is a separate and distinct. It says retail sales. I don't know that that's defined.
It's defined clear. It's the exact same language. So that's the whole point. We with the restrictions of RM, we updated the law to include the uses that matches the language that we did in our other update. So it's consistent language.
Is this something that perhaps we could see exactly what they reflected?
Yeah. We'll circulate.
Can sit down and really look at, revisit exactly what it says, and if we think that there's any modifications that need to be made, however minor. But just, I think we all need to kind of sit down and look at this again. I don't think we need to flush it out right.
And this is more so to just kind of make it clear that they did have some feedback based on, we had sent to them for a recommendation on one of the open zone changes. And their feedback was that they had kind of feedback for RM, so I think that's a good idea. We'll get that feedback from them, we'll circulate that, and then if we feel the need
I
to.
do also want to say we had a public hearing on this and there was no concerns brought.
Yes, I second Elaine's remarks on that. This was well advertised. We had a public hearing. It seems like this could have been done earlier, but happy to revisit it if that's what's in the best interest of the planning board, ours and our residents.
Fantastic. Okay. So next up is the Unified Planning Work Program. So letter, I don't know, was it you or Sarah who was kind of doing on this one?
Sarah?
Yeah, well, it's not me, so I guess.
Sarah?
Hi, so the Onondaga County Empire State Trail Local Economic Opportunities Plan looks for opportunities to fund bike and pedestrian access to the Empire State Trail, which around here is basically the Erie Canal. The village of Fayetteville invited the town of Manlius to join with them in an application to improve access via bicycle to the Route 5 entry to Green Lake State Park. On the 290 entry to Green Lake State Park, there is a bridge directly to the canal trail already. So we decided to focus on the Route 5 side. And it includes, if it's accepted by the Syracuse Metropolitan Transportation Council, that it would include bike infrastructure on Do Good Road, connecting the village of Manlius also to a safer way to get to Green Lakes and then to the canal. So that is the recommendation to authorize the supervisor to sign that letter, please.
I would absolutely love to make that motion to authorize the supervisor to send that letter of support to the Village of Fayetteville's application to the SMTC for enhanced bicycle access to the Empire State Trail System.
Yeah, I am happy to sign it.
Okay, all those in favor? Opposed? Okay. motion carries.
Awesome. Did you work with Jane Rice on that? Village trustee Jane Rice on that, Sarah?
Great. Okay, so I will talk about the next one. So as we've discussed a number of times, the town of DeWitt is looking at a proposal for the 4181 project to add a service road that would go directly from that exit on Kirkville Road to the rail yard. CSX has expressed interest in it, and in conversations we've had, we know that this is a problem, the truck traffic in the north end of town. Obviously, with the Micron announcement and all the other wonderful things that are happening on the county, this is a really good opportunity for us to kind of fix this long-term problem. And get these trucks off of local roads that are moving past residences, businesses, and schools. So I'll read the resolution I prepared. So whereas the town of Manlius residents have been experiencing increased truck traffic following improvements to the CSX DeWitt rail yard and recent large developments in Onondaga County. And whereas the entrance to the CSX DeWitt rail yard requires trucks to traverse local roads passing by residents, businesses, and schools. Whereas continued development in Onondaga County will lead to further increases in truck traffic. And whereas a connector project has been proposed whereby a new road would be established parallel to Interstate Route I-41 that would tie into a reconfigured Kirkville Road interchange with I-41 future I-81, diverting highway bound trucks away from Fremont and Kirkville roads. Now therefore be it resolved that the town of Manlius board expresses its support for the Central New York Inland Port Connector project and the potential benefits to the town of Manlius residents' health, safety, and well-being. I would look for a motion to adopt that.
I'd love to make that motion. Before I do, I want to clarify for folks that previously a private company proposed something called the Inland Port Project, and we talked about it at length. And it's the same general area, but the concept of an inland port regionally has been circulating for a long time, and this is just the name that the town of DeWitt and town of Manlius have given to it.
That's why I was wondering, is this what it's
Yeah.
called? Is it just?
Yeah, this is, there's a larger inland port project, and this is essentially a recommendation to a modification.
It's a misnomer, not.
But this is not with a private company, this is a fully municipal.
Yep. And I will say too,
State.
ESM has also sent a letter of support and passed a resolution very similar, yeah. So we're hoping, and I know we mentioned it to the county executive, so we're hoping that we'll be able to get some traction with this.
We had a workshop with them yesterday on Micron, with several other stakeholders, including the villages and, ESM schools was represented by Dr. Desiato, but this is one of the things I brought up, and they haven't heard about it. It's excited to talk about it, reach out if we needed support or if they could help in any way, so.
Great.
Yeah,
So I'd like to make a motion to adopt the resolution in support of the Central New York Inland Port Connector Project as outlined in the resolution presented by our town supervisor, and request that the town clerk send the certified resolution to the town of DeWitt.
I will second that motion.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you, everybody. That'll, I would say that's a nice thing to check off. This
Yeah,
is-
that's been a lot, good job.
Yeah, it's a seriously, it has a very serious potential impact for us, and I would love to see it. I know there's been a lot of conversations, so that's why we want to throw our support behind it. And I will be drafting a letter to Supervisor Nicolenko tomorrow to go with the resolution, so that they can add that to the file.
With Micron coming, it's just gonna get worse for those residents, so this has become even more urgent than it already was.
Okay, next up, under Highway Superintendent, we have a vehicle purchase proposal. Sarah, did you talk to Rob about this already?
I can. Hi, everybody. So we have a regular replacement schedule for all vehicles, which the recent supply chain issues has pushed off longer. So this proposal is in keeping with our replacement schedule to replace a 2018 pickup truck. It was budgeted in 2022. We were only able to order it just recently under Onondaga County bid number, lots of letters, 0010808 U2-A. And this was a good price and is available, will be not delivered until about this time, 2023. But we would like the board to authorize the purchase of it now so we can get that in motion.
Sounds good.
So I make a motion to authorize the highway superintendent to purchase a 2023 Ford F-250 as described in quote number 33740 and as part of Onondaga County bid number 0010808. Item U2-A in the amount of $61,384.44.
I promise this is where the state control.
No. This is like some type of literacy test.
Yeah.
I'll second the motion, as long as I don't want to read it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Councilor Devon, update on the EV charging stations.
So I am excited to announce that our new EV charging stations are up and running in our back parking lot. I'm currently charging right now. So once we receive our electric vehicles for our planning and code department, there's 4 spaces out there. One of the spaces will be reserved for town vehicles to charge per our shared use plan with the DPC. But right now we don't have those, so all 4 spaces are available for public use. I have looked into what other governments and private entities charge around our area and believes that since the town needs this infrastructure for our electric cars, the town will pay for the maintenance and connection fees associated with the charging station. Right, currently with the grants and everything we have a 5-year maintenance plan and a 5-year connection plan, so we're good for 5 years. And then so then the general public would be charged 20 cents per kilowatt, which would just cover the electricity cost that we get charged by National Grid. And then I would suggest that we do review those fees annually to make sure it stays aligned with the current electrical costs, and also this would be kind of the new thing for the town. So we'll see how it goes. And I just wanted to remind everyone that over 80% of the charging station, the installation will be paid for by the DEC the grant that we received earlier. Once we fill out all the required paperwork and get reimbursed. And we will also, I believe, receive money to cover the electrical vehicles we plan to purchase.
Yes. Yep.
So first I wanted to make sure if anyone had any questions about them, feel free to ask me now.
Congratulations. Yeah, Elaine was chiefly responsible for this and has done a great job. She's been updating the Sustainable Manlius Committee at all of our meetings and has painstakingly worked on this and followed up with the DEC numerous times. So
It was quite a process.
very good work, counselor.
It still will continue because I
Still following up the DEC.
following, but they are up and working and we're live.
So I'll add, I'll just read this quick email from Amanda Mazzoni at the planning board. Hi, all, I just became aware today that the EV charging stations are up and running, so you can now submit for this action with NYSERDA. Caitlin said that blah, 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 irrelevant. This action will push the town over the 3,000 points threshold and secure another $10,000 grant for another clean energy project at the town. So we will be receiving our largest grant so far, for the Clean Energy Communities Program. So thank you, Elaine, for getting that done and pushing us over that threshold.
And so I did want to just make an official motion to, so I just want to make a motion to set the electrical charging station rate and the cost of 20 cents per kilowatt hour.
Now, second that motion.
All those in favor?
For 2022, or until.
So it'll just be set
Until
that
we-
until you review it.
And then we'll be making money.
No, it's a flat, for like the public, you're using electricity costs, we're getting billed for that, we're paying for it through the.
It's very small.
And then try-
And then the small part, yes.
So, we had a second motion, right? So, or a second, so we're ready to vote, I guess.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries. So this is a note, probably something that we might want to consider adding to the organizational meeting yearly to look at that rate.
Okay.
I think that would,
Oh, that's a good idea.
We-
I'm
we
thinking
ju-
like September, like budget time, but the organization. would probably
yeah,
do.
I think just at least having it there, that way we don't forget it.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just another good reminder
That's
to take another look at that.
And
Oh, sorry.
Chargeport has like, I mean, we log in, there's a whole dashboard, and we get all the data, and so I'll be looking to see what we can, how we can share that data and show what we're. You know, how we're. Offsetting. Cost.
Yeah.
I do think that the sustainability committee has now gotten over $60,000 in grants. Like, wow.
That's incredible.
Incredible. Very cool.
Okay, so next up, we have the 10-hour shift side agreement. So this is what we've been working with the PBA and the police department on for the better part of this year. This is going to be an opportunity for us to try out a 4-3 schedule. We're hoping that this will have a number of impacts, positive benefits to our officers. A little bit more reliability in scheduling, a shift time that we're hoping will work better. And ideally, this will help with not only quality of life for our officers, but also recruitment and retention. And so this is a agreement that we're making for 1 year. And basically, the goal here is we will kind of check in on this as we go through. We do have the contract negotiation up this year, with the goal being that by the time we get to that contract negotiation, we'll have a sense of whether or not this is something that's working out, and then we'll incorporate that into the negotiation.
But this was a really great innovation and seems to be.
And it came from our officers, so
Great.
this is it's something that I will say, everyone has been working very diligently on to get ready for this. It was not an easy process, but again, we'll see how it goes, and I'm hopeful that we'll have some positive results.
Heather, did you want to make this one, Sharon, or you good? You're on this?
Well, I basically just want to thank the PBA leadership for making sure there was buy-in for testing out the process too before, so we could see how it would work. There was a period of time to look at it, and it required everyone to sort of, you know, pay attention to what was going on and make an effort to imagine this and ask the right questions so that we can include as much information as possible. The fact that some folks are on a 5-2 schedule had to be factored in, and looking at, looking at in-service training too was related to that. There's so much complexity to it that I don't think people really grasp until they dig into it. And that's, I think, why it had been avoided, the conversation had been avoided for so long, because it was a little thorny to think about how to manage it. And we're trying to also mitigate it, negative impact, that unintended consequences that we don't know about yet. So, but I really think that this is the, John's ability to sort of have a computer science mind behind it, I think really helps too. So we should, we're looking forward to seeing how it works and hope it does work well. So I'd like to make a motion to approve the 10-hour side shifts agreement with the PBA dated December 7th, 2022 as presented.
So, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you, everybody. Thank you very much, everybody. So next up, this is something that we had on the agenda last time. This is the RPNY Solar 4 LLC pilot agreement with Osida and in the village of Manoa, solar array at 5986 Clemens Road. in East Syracuse. I talked with the mayor, basically, I think we had some questions about the amount. He let me know that this was a, fairly standard agreement. They're, excited to move forward with it. There's a lot of excitement about this solar array going into Manoa. And so I would just look for a motion to, authorize myself to sign a letter approving it.
Make a motion to authorize the supervisor to sign a letter approving the RPNY Solar 4 LLC agreement at 4,000 per megawatt for a 25-year period with an annual escalator of 2% for the solar array located at 5986 Clements Road.
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries. The last thing I've got here, is the update on cannabis regulations. So we had the workshop. We saw that the state did release, some regulations. We've been talking to some of the folks that we had at the workshop. I'm gonna be meeting, with attorney, Germano on Friday so that we can draft something up, so we'll have that ready, as soon as possible. Again, we had a lot of really good feedback. We're gonna be taking all that into consideration. And this is something that we probably will, schedule a public hearing for, probably try to hold it open just so that we've got a real opportunity to let folks know. Let the paper write about it one time so people are aware of what's going on. I want to make sure we don't do this, without bringing everybody along with us. If people are concerned, I want them to be able to be here and talk about it. But we will be working on those, like I said, this Friday.
Great.
Okay. Okay, so I will look for approval of minutes.
Sarah, no,
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll do it. So, Mr. Supervisor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes from November 9th, 2022.
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye.
Mr. Supervisor, I'd like
Oh, wait,
to,
no. Opposed? Motion carries.
like to make a motion to approve the minutes of November 16th, 2022.
I'll second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Mr. Supervisor, I'd like to make a motion to approve Act Rec number 23.
Sarah, do you have a number for us?
I do, $950,000, $950,311.29.
Do you want to second that motion?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We are now going to enter into the executive session, for the conversation about a collective bargaining agreement. I need a motion to enter executive session.
I'd like to make a motion to enter executive session.
I'll second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you, everybody.
All right, the throngs of people
Yeah.
have to depart. Uh-huh. come out of executive.
That's what I was asking. Yes, I'll second.
And Melissa's back. Okay, there's a motion to come out of executive session. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries. We're out of executive session. Does anybody have anything else we need to cover tonight? Okay,
Mr. Supervisor, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
all those in favor? Aye. Opposed?